All right, back for another beer review, and today I will be reviewing a beer from Decadent Ales, and they're out of Mamaroneck, New York, and this is their Oatmeal Raisin Cookie. So this is an Imperial Stout that is brewed with caramelized sugar and raisins, comes in at 11.8% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed in time of review. This can is approximately 6.5 weeks old. So, Decadent. When I first started out my channel, I reviewed a decent amount of beers from them, but I think I've only reviewed one beer from them in the last 6 to 8 months, and there's a good reason for that. The last time I bought a handful of their beers, I was very disappointed. Going back a year and a half, 2 years ago, I really enjoyed what Decadent was doing. I would buy all their new releases, and I really enjoyed them. And then the last batch of beer I bought from them, I was just like, man, this is not what I remember them being. And I kind of stopped buying their stuff earlier this year. But recently I saw this in one of my local bottle shops and I was like, okay, Oatmeal Raisin Cookie. It's an Imperial Stout. And here's the thing, I've never had any kind of stout from them. It's always been like their, fruited IPAs and double IPAs and whatnot, or like pastry IPAs and double IPAs. So when I saw this, I was like, all right, I'll give it a go. Another thing about Decadent is the price point on their beers. It was anywhere between $5 to like $6 for a can of their beer. And that's expensive, especially when you don't know exactly what you're getting. Now on this one, it says our base Imperial Stout brewed with loads of chocolate malt. We also added a variety of sugars and raisins to make the stout reminiscent of an oatmeal raisin cookie. So I like oatmeal raisin cookies. It's a stout from Decadent. Never had a stout from them, like I said. And yeah, I'm curious to give this one a go. So we'll see. Will Decadent get back in my good graces? Does it matter? Not really, but let's give it a go. So yeah, that's pouring out like straight up motor oil. That is super viscous and thick. 12%, I'm kind of expecting that to be the case. But yeah, that looks like a 12% beer. Let's just say that, 12% Imperial Stout. That is pitch black for sure. You're not seeing through that one. It's going to be pitch black on camera. It's pitch black in person for sure. Has about a half finger of this really creamy, dark brown, almost like just beautiful. It's just a beautiful looking head, super creamy looking. That is a spectacular looking beer. I was not anticipating that. Alcohol legs for days. Let's get a nose. Definitely fusel alcohol right up front. Like I'm kind of surprised at the alcohol there. Kind of hit me. Underneath it though, tons of like sugar. They said they're using a variety of different sugars, caramelized sugars and whatnot. So I'm getting like molasses, getting like brown sugar, muscovado sugar, stuff like that. Really just like caramelized sugar forward. Getting a little bit of dark fruit, raisins, sure, dates, plums. Big Imperial Stout like this, probably going to get a lot of dark fruits, dark cherry. Almost a cinnamon-esque kind of nose to it. Don't think they're using cinnamon, just kind of getting that basically from the malt or maybe the hops or maybe the sugar itself. Lots of dark chocolate. There's like a really rich roasted malt character as well. Yeah, it smells like it's going to be really sweet, really boozy, and just like, maybe reminiscent of an oatmeal raisin cookie. I don't know. It smells pretty good. Now, does it smell like an oatmeal raisin cookie? Not exactly, but it smells like a big, sweet, rich Imperial Stout, so I want to get into it. Cheers, everybody. It's nice. It's really nice, actually. Not getting oatmeal raisin cookie, though. First thing I will say, boozy, quite boozy on the nose. In the taste, sure, it's boozy. It's almost 12%. It's boozy. But this drink's more like 10, 10 and a half, somewhere in that range. If I was doing this blind, I'd guess 10, 10 and a half, maybe 11. Wouldn't guess 12. Body in this one is a bit thin at 12%. This is like lower side of full body. A beer that's 12%, I want to see full body. Regardless of really the style. I always talk about triple IPAs when they're 10.5, 11%. Oh, it's medium or higher side of medium, and I'm okay with being thin, and I am. But a beer like this, 12%, I want it to be chewy. I want it to be viscous and thick and just like, almost like molasses, right? And it's not. It's lower side of full body. It's soft, relatively smooth. Has lower carbonation to it to kind of enhance the, drinking experience. You don't want this to be super carbonated. I will say, I think the base Imperial Stout in here is pretty nice. I'm getting dark chocolate, like a baker's chocolate, like I want to say 40 or 50% cacao bar, because there's a little bit of sweetness, but not overly so. And there's lots of sweetness as well. So there's a big roasted malt character to this one. In addition to that, like semi-sweet chocolate type of vibe. But then there's nice molasses, brown sugar, muscovado sugar, really sweet caramelized sugar, caramel, slight toffee notes. Pass through the palate, a little bit of dark fruit hits. Raisins, sure. I'm getting more like plums and figs and dates, kind of stuff like that. I'm still getting a little bit of cinnamon halfway through the palate, which is weird because, again, I don't think there's cinnamon in here. It just might be my broken palate or stupid palate, whatever you want to call it. It finishes sweet with a low bitterness, a slight dryness. This one is definitely sweeter, 12%. You kind of expect that. There isn't enough bitterness or dryness to kind of balance it out. So it's going to finish sweet, and I kind of expected it to do so. Yeah, this is actually just, if you're going for an Imperial Stout with, you know, whatever kind of adjuncts they have, this is a good beer. Like, I'm enjoying drinking this. It's solid. It's tasty. But the one issue I've always had with Decadent, even to the beers that I like, they don't always hit the nail on the head when they name the beer or what they're going for. They say that this is an oatmeal raisin cookie, or reminiscent of an oatmeal raisin cookie, an Imperial Stout form. And you might differ in your opinion. You might drink this one and say, hey man, this is oatmeal raisin cookie all day, and you're entitled to that because that's your own opinion. That's the best thing about this, is we all have our own opinions and tastes. For me, I'm getting a little bit of that raisin, a little bit of that cinnamon. But does this taste like an oatmeal raisin cookie or even reminiscent of, you know what, I'll give them credit. This is reminiscent of an oatmeal raisin cookie. I get the cinnamon. I get the, I get the cinnamon. I get the chocolate that they're putting in here, which, you know, not raisins. Chocolate's not in oatmeal raisin cookies, but I get the cinnamon. I get the raisins, and it's nice, and it's reminiscent. But if you're going to name it oatmeal raisin cookie, I want it to be an oatmeal raisin cookie, and it's just not. So if I had to rate this to what they're going for based on the name, I'd give this like a 3 out of 5, maybe like a 3.25. But I don't. I rate to my personal preference. And my personal preference when it comes to oatmeal raisin cookie from Decadent Ales, this is a good beer. It's a tasty beer. It's good. 11.8%. I kind of feel it on the palate. As I said, 10.5, 11%. Feel it in the chest, feel it in the stomach, but it's not 12%. So it hides it slightly well. But I like the chocolate flavors of this one. I really like that caramelized sugar in here. And I just like that this is like a sweeter Imperial Stout. It's not a pastry beer. It doesn't have the sweetness or like this overbearing like adjunct kind of vibe to it. It's a nice Imperial Stout with some good adjuncty flavors, but it's not a pastry beer and it's not too sweet. So I will give Oatmeal Raisin Cookie from Decadent Ales a straight 4 out of 5. I think it's a good beer. Now here's the thing, price and availability. Availability, wherever you see Decadent, they're all over the place. I've seen them, you know, in Ohio. People have been buying them even in the South. I don't know if they still have that distribution footprint, but if they do, you should be able to find this one. As far as the price point on this one, this is where I think this was actually a good price for once when it comes to Decadent. That's the other issue I had with Decadent, is that all their beers, like I said, were $5 to $6, and they weren't worth $5 to $6, a lot of them. This one, I paid $4.49 for this can. And I don't think Decadent, at least from my experience, they usually single cans, they don't come in 4-packs, but $4.50 for a beer that's 11.8% with a couple different adjuncts in it and of this quality, $4.50 for this can is fucking great value. It's almost a 12% beer. Put it this way, if you were to buy 4-packs of this, if they came in 4-packs, it'd be 16 or 17 bucks. For a beer that's 12%, that's well worth it. So I think this is the best value I've ever seen from a Decadent beer. So price point on this one's fantastic. I just wish I had, I tasted more of like an oatmeal raisin cookie vibe to this one. And I just don't get it. Sure, reminiscent, but if you're gonna name the beer oatmeal raisin cookie, for me, it should taste like an oatmeal raisin cookie, and it doesn't. But again, I always rate to what I think about the beer, and 4 out of 5 I think is a good rating. So if you've had this one before, let me know what you think about it, because I'm curious about all your opinions. Appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. Until the next one, cheers.